Here's something that should make you think twice about where you use your phone. New research shows that 1800 megahertz cell phone radiation, the exact frequency used by many wireless devices, doesn't cause DNA damage by itself. But when combined with certain industrial toxins, it dramatically amplifies genetic harm. Scientists led by researchers Zhu and colleagues exposed mouse embryonic cells to 1800 megahertz radiofrequency radiation. This is the same frequency used by GSM cell phones and some 2G networks. They tested the radiation alone and combined it with 4 different toxic chemicals. The results were striking. RF radiation by itself caused 0 detectable DNA damage. But when the cells were exposed to both the radiation and hexavalent chromium, a known industrial carcinogen, the genetic damage increased significantly. What makes this particularly concerning? Hexavalent chromium isn't some rare laboratory chemical. It's widespread in groundwater and industrial areas across the United States. You might recognize it from the Aaron Brockovich case. It's the same toxic compound that contaminated drinking water in Hinckley, California. The study tested 3 other chemicals alongside the chromium: hydrogen peroxide, 4-nitroquinoline oxide, and cadmium. None of these showed enhanced damage when combined with RF radiation. Only hexavalent chromium demonstrated this troubling synergistic effect. This suggests something researchers have long suspected but rarely tested directly. Radiofrequency radiation may not cause cancer on its own, but it could make existing carcinogens more dangerous. Think about the implications. Millions of people live near industrial sites or areas with contaminated groundwater. They're already exposed to low levels of various toxins. Now we have evidence that their daily cell phone use might be amplifying that chemical damage at the cellular level. This isn't the first study to suggest RF radiation acts as what scientists call a co-carcinogen. As I explore in my book, Empowered, there are literally thousands of peer-reviewed studies demonstrating biological effects from electromagnetic fields. The evidence shows these effects occur not just in laboratory settings, but in real-world environments at exposure levels we experience every day. What's particularly troubling here is that we're not dealing with radiation in isolation. We're living in what you might call a chemical soup, exposed to hundreds of synthetic compounds that didn't exist 50 years ago. This study suggests our wireless devices might be stirring that soup in dangerous ways. So what does this mean for you? First, be mindful of where you use your phone most frequently. If you live or work near industrial areas, consider keeping more distance between wireless devices and your body. The inverse square law means even small increases in distance dramatically reduce your exposure. Second, consider your overall toxic load. While you can't eliminate all chemical exposures, you can reduce them. Use water filters, choose organic foods when possible, and be aware of industrial contamination in your area. Finally, remember that this is emerging science. We're still learning how electromagnetic fields interact with the complex chemistry of modern life. But the precautionary principle suggests taking reasonable steps to reduce exposure makes sense, especially if you're already dealing with environmental toxins. The bottom line, your phone's radiation might not be dangerous in a vacuum, but we don't live in a vacuum. We live in a world full of industrial chemicals, and this study suggests those 2 exposures might be more dangerous together than either one alone. Find the full study and hundreds more at shieldyourbody.com/research. Find the full study and hundreds more at shieldyourbody.com/research.